warm welcome to News Now. I am Fidelia Aguncha. More than 10 months after it was set up to probe human rights violation by the police, the Presidential Panel on SARS Reform is recommending the creation of state and local government police. The panel, in its report to President Muhammadu Buhari, also recommended the dismissal of 37 police officers. Presenting the report to the President, Chairman of the panel, Tony Ojukwu, revealed that the group received 113 complaints on alleged human rights violation from across the country. Ojukwu adds that the group also received 22 memoranda and suggestions on how to reform and restructure the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, and the Nigeria Police in general. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to fully implement the recommendations of the committee.
It is in recognition of our obligations under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the international human rights laws that this administration decided to set up this presidential panel and directed the National Human Rights Commission to constitute its membership in order to investigate the various public outcries and media reports alleging human rights violations against citizens by officers of Special Anti-Robbery Squad. The panel was empowered to make appropriate recommendations, not just for holding police officers found wanting accountable, but also on ways Special Anti-Robbery Squad and by extension the Nigerian police could be generally reformed. The decision directing the National Human Rights Commission to constitute the membership of the panel and to take the lead in investigating the said allegations of human rights violation was born out of the mandate of the National Human Rights Commission, which includes the promotion, protection, and enforcement of human rights in Nigeria as enshrined under Section 5 and 6 of the National Human Rights Commission Act 1995 as amended. It is also in recognition of the fact that the decisions, determinations, and recommendations of the Commission are binding and enforceable as provided under Section 22 of the National Human Rights Commission Act 1995 as amended.
The other key recommendations of the panel include significant improvement in funding, kitting, and facilities of the Nigerian Police Force, strengthening information and communication technology of the force, establishment of state and local government police, institutionalization of a special investigation panel to annually hear and determine complaints on alleged human rights violations against operations of the Nigerian Police Force, strengthening police rapid response complaints unit of the Nigerian Police Force and other internal complaint mechanisms of the force to make them more responsive, remaining the Special Anti-Robbery Squad to Anti-Robbery Section, ARS, which was its original name, and to make the section operate under the intelligence arm of the police, from the divisional, area command, state command, zonal command, up to the force headquarters level. This will also remove the stigma presently associated with the name SARS.
Well, Nigeria will host leaders of the Lake Chad Basin Commission to an informal security summit next week. Spokesperson to the President, Muhammadu Buhari, Dat Garba Shehu, announced this, saying the summit will be held on the sidelines of the forthcoming inauguration ceremony slated for June 12 in Abuja. He says the summit is to come up with new strategies to bring to a permanent end the Boko Haram terrorism faced by the countries on the Lake Chad region. President Buhari yesterday returned from a meeting of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. The Nigeria Police Force has paraded 38 men suspected of armed robbery and illegal arms smuggling in Abuja. The suspects were arrested during police special operations in the northeast, northwest, and north central of Nigeria. Parading the suspect at the Special Anti-Robbery Squad premises in Abuja, Fort spokesperson Frank Mba said the suspects were arrested by a combined team of the Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Team and the Special Task Force. Mbah says the Inspector General of Police has directed men and officers to be on high alert and man strategic locations across the country during the Salah Festival to protect lives and property.
We have a gang of criminals who specializes in bringing into this country prohibited weapons. Our determination to curb the proliferation of light arms and to snuff energy out of the criminals, knowing fully well that without weapons, most of the crimes that are taking place in Nigeria will not take place. The Nigerian police have to review its operational strategy to target the illicit proliferation of arms and go after recognized persons who are actually illegally bringing these weapons into the country.
More Nigerians are still setting goals for President Muhammadu Buhari as he kickstarts his second term in office. While many have urged the president to prioritize security, others want the area of economy and job creation to take center stage. Obiora Oji, a political analyst, says the president must consider appointing technocrats to fill appropriate positions in his cabinet in order to bring about the much anticipated change promised to Nigerians.
It is expected that at least the government will bring about some level of development content more into the next 4 years level. Given that it's also, containing this next level plan of action to scale up its social intervention as it affects market money, trader money, and all those social safety nets. It's also looking at how to be more magnanimous in victory by bringing some form of technocrats into the system. And it's expected that when the new cabinet comes on board, that we actually give a kind of antenna that we need to, watch, and to also look at how some of these, perceived technocrats, or those that we're looking at, will be in the government to ensure that they bring the needed, support to the government, so that the next level agenda will be fully fulfilled. The critical component of good governance has to do with, having the right kind of people on board at every particular time. And essentially now that the new cabinet is being anticipated, it's also expected that such will equally help to rejig the economy, to bring about the desired fights against hunger, against unemployment, against the issue of, corruptions and other social vices.
The national leadership of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) will be meeting in Abuja to choose a candidate ahead of the 9th Assembly leadership election. Those expected at the meeting are members of the party's National Working Committee, led by its national chairman, Uche Secondas. Others expected at the meeting are selected members of the party's National Executive Council, Senate President Bukola Saraki, and other lawmakers under the party. Two members of the APC in the Senate, Ahmed Lawan and Ali Ndume, have openly declared their intention to succeed Saraki as the president of the Senate. Also, 6 APC members, including Femi Gbajabiamila, Nkiruka, Onye Jocha, John Jege, Mohamed Bago, Olatunbosun Olajide, and Shegun Odebumi, are currently aspiring to succeed Dogara as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Well, still on party politics, more crisis seems to be brewing in the All Progressives Congress (APC). Former national chairman of the party, John Oyegun, has passed a vote of no confidence on Adams Oshiomhole, the current national chairman of the party. Oyegun, in a statement released on Monday, alleged that Oshiomhole lacks the capacity to lead the APC. He says the former Edo State governor is degrading and demarketing the APC rather than seeking to bring more people on board. The comment is coming days after the deputy national chairman of the party, Lawal Shuaibu, called on the national chairman to step aside. Meanwhile, the Zamfara State chapter of the All Progressives Congress (APC) has expelled the senator representing Zamfara Central, Kabiru Marafa, for alleged anti-party activities. Also expelled is the immediate past Deputy Governor of the state, Ibrahim Wakala, and the House of Reps member, Aminu Jaji. The party says the decision to expel the lawmakers was reached at a meeting of the State Executive Committee in Gusau. It highlighted the provision of the section of the party's constitution to recommend that any member of the party who files an action in court against the party or any of its officials without first exhausting the avenues to redress stands expelled. The development comes barely a week after the Supreme Court sacked all the party's candidates that emerged winner at the just concluded general elections in Zamfara State. Well, to state affairs now, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has signed the 2019 appropriation bill into law. Sanwo-Olu signed the 873 billion naira budget on Monday. The budget has recurrent expenses of 393.841 billion naira and capital expenses of 479.691 billion naira. Former State Governor Akinwumi Ambode proposed a budget of 852 billion naira to the State House of Assembly on February 5, 2019. The lawmakers later increased the appropriation bill by 21 billion naira before approving it on April 30, 2019. Meanwhile, the domestic data for 36 states and Federal Capital Territory shows that Lagos is the most indebted state in the Federation. According to the data, Lagos is owing the sum of 530.244 billion naira out of the 3.853 trillion naira debt owed by states. A total of 309.920 billion naira is owed by the 5 states of the Southeast, while the sum of 403.028 billion naira is owed by state in the Northeast and 433.682 billion naira is owed by states in the Northwest. The Federal High Court has sentenced Callistus Obi, a former acting Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency (NIMASA), to 7 years imprisonment for fraud. Justice Mojisola Olatoregun, however, gave Obi an option of 42 million naira fine. Obi was arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) on an 8-count charge of fraud to the tune of 136 million naira. He was arraigned alongside one Ali Dismas, who was an aide to a former Director General of the NIMASA. Also charged were 2 companies, Grand Pax Limited and Global Seal Investment Limited, as 3rd and 4th defendants. You're still watching news now on TV360 Nigeria. More stories to come after this break.
Corruption not in my country.
Madam, madam, welcome. Okay, madam, no worry. When you deliver the balance, we'll give you the goods.
No problem, no problem. All right, so now well done.
Thank you.
Hey, Oga, I still say she don't bring money. Maybe we'll use this one for her now.
She wants mahogany, not white wood.
Oga, our work now to join wood together, deliver whatever to customer. Put the remaining profit for pocket.
Abba, this is corruption, not in my country. Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
ABC from
House the crash launches have been rescued tonight to presented the government announcing the fact.
where voters are on the queue to cast their ballot.
That election was built and Nigerians are reacting.
Area of Lagos as early as
7 some minutes say the incident has been managed.
This morning.
Welcome back. Let's now join Oyin Adekunle for the latest in business. Hello, Oyin.
Hi, Fidelia.
So tell me what's making headlines today.
Well, days into the second tenure of President Muhammad Buhari's administration, some financial experts have been reviewing the economic policies of the government in the last 4 years. In an interview with TV360 Nigeria, Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Muda Yusuf, is suggesting a review of the foreign exchange policy of the country to attract foreign investors. Yusuf says this will ensure ease of doing business to boost the economy.
We need to address the issue of multiplicity of exchange rates. That is not good for the transparency of the management of the foreign exchange market. We need to bring a lot more transparency into this whole process. Although the CBN has said that what we have is not multiple rates but multiple windows. I mean, it's very difficult to draw the line or to distinguish between what is multiple windows and what is multiple rates. As much as possible, there has to be, first, we have to reduce the number of windows that we have. We are talking of multiple windows. If you have a fewer number of windows, I think we have a fewer number of rates. That is very important. And this idea of saying that the official rate is 305, I don't think is something that we should continue to relate with as an economy. Let us know exactly what the rate is. Of course, there will be a band, but the band should be very, very narrow band of fluctuation in the rates. Talking about the issue of flotation, the reality is that the best way to manage an exchange rate is to allow the exchange rate to reflect the fundamentals of the market.
Lawmakers in the House of Representatives have directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to investigate the First Bank of Nigeria PLC over the forgery of deed of tripartite legal mortgage documents. The House reached the resolution following recommendations from its committee chaired by Uzoma Abonta. The committee gave the recommendation after investigating allegations contained in a petition filed by White Plains British School against First Bank of Nigeria. According to the school management, First Bank PLC, after giving it a loan of 690 million naira, attempted to take over the school, citing loan default. They are also accusing the bank of offenses bordering on fraud, superimposition of signature, and forgery.
What First Bank did, with all due respect, is highly reprehensible. A situation where a bank of that caliber will go and, doctor documents, forge the signature of their own client, a man who came to them to help him secure a loan to run a school. They went out of their way just to take away the institution, just to take away the school from the man. They went out of their way and, forged a document, to perfect a document in order to take away the school. What they did was highly reprehensible. I pray, and our prayer is that the central bank should look into the activities of First Bank, not only against the White Plains British School, but also their activities in all the mortgages they have been perfecting. We believe that White Plains British School is not the only casualty in this kind of activity. We believe that they have been doing these things to so many unsuspecting Nigerians, and that is our prayer.
I never knew in my life that a bank will engage in forgery. I never in my life. I'm so shocked that such a thing could happen. But today we are so happy that the whole thing has come to an end, and that the secrets have been unraveled, and we have known actually that what they said is true. What I said in my petition are all truth, and God has taken proper control of everything that happened. Once again, I say that I thank God for giving us people in this National Assembly that are fearless, that are incorruptible, that can stand and look at the face of no matter how big you are in the society, to stand in the way of justice.
Latest statistics from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that the banking sector's non-performing loans stood at 1.676 trillion naira as of the end of March 2019. The gross loans recorded in the banking sector stood at 15.480 trillion naira, while the loans after specific provisions stood at 13.739 trillion naira in the period under review. The ratio of the non-performing loans to total loans was 10.83%, while non-performing loans to total loans after specific provisions was 12.2%. The figure of non-performing loans at the end of 2018 was 1.792 trillion naira, while the gross loans and loans after specific provisions were 15.353 trillion naira and 13.562 trillion naira, respectively. Oil prices fell by around 1% on Monday on worries that an intensifying China-US trade tussle and Washington's new tariff threats against Mexico could tip the global economy into a recession. Brent crude futures were at $61.28, down 71 cents from its last close, while U.S. crude futures were at $53.09 per barrel, down 41 cents from their last settlement. The drops followed price slumps on more than 3% on Friday, which made May the worst performing month for crude futures since last November. Stock market review is up next right after this break. Well, market pressures have continued to take negative toll on trading activities at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Fresh activities this week kicked off in the negative territory, which makes it the fourth straight day of loss. We see that activity level at the markets improved from previous session, with the volume of shares increasing by over 33,000 to 246.091 million. The value of trade also appreciated to 2.817 billion naira, but despite this, key market indicators declined by 0.45%. Now that's a reduction of 139 points in the all-share index and over 61 billion naira decline in the market's capitalization. Now let's look at the top four losers of the day, which is spread across different sectors. Seplat Petroleum Development Company PLC is leading the pack today with its share price shedding 49 naira 9 kobo to close at 9.07%. It is followed by Julius Berger, Nascon Allied Industries PLC with 9.23% decline, and of course we also have Ecobank Transnational, which is also declining by 9.87%. Nestle is on top of its game, I must say, recovering from previous loss to record 0.96% growth in share price. It's also a good day for Flour Mill, Dangote Cement, and University Press PLC. Now, on the global scale, the bulls are having a field day at the Dow Jones and FTSE, with both markets closing positive. But Nikkei, just like the Nigerian Stock Exchange, closed with a 0.92% decline in its all-share index, and this follows worries about the rising risk from the protracted US-China trade war. That's it on Stock Market Review. News Now will continue shortly.
Madam, madam, welcome. Okay, madam, no worry. When you deliver the balance, we'll give you the goods.
No problem, no problem. All right, so now well done.
Thank you.
Hey, Oga, I still say she don't bring money. Maybe we use this one for him now.
She wants mahogany, not white wood.
Oga, our work now to join wood together, deliver whatever to customer. Put the remaining profit for pocket.
Abba! This is corruption, not in my country. Corruption, not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Well, let's now shift to the foreign scene. Boris Johnson has launched his Tory leadership bid in earnest, with a video aimed at highlighting his campaign credentials and a stream of timed endorsements, including several from prominent party moderates. Johnson's campaign has been so far marked out by a distinct lack of public activity, unlike the flurry of publicity surrounding other candidates such as Dominic Raab, Rory Stewart, and Jeremy Hunt. A social media launch video released on Monday is his first major activity since he announced he would run. In it, Johnson meets voters on the campaign trail and promises an ex-conservative voter that he will take Britain out of the European Union on October 31st, deal or no deal, if he becomes Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Theresa May is set to resign her position on June 7 after failing to meet previous Brexit deadlines. And in sport, former Super Eagles captain Austin Okocha is embroiled in another round of legal battle. A report in the Scottish Sun indicates that the former Nigerian international last Friday appeared in a court in Aberdeen over alleged money laundering charges. According to the report, Okocha appeared in private at the Aberdeen Sheriff Court. The soccer legend, who represented Nigeria at 3 FIFA World Cup among other competitions, is said to be facing a charge related to the alleged acquisition, use and possession of criminal property, and another relating to allegedly concealing, disguising, converting and transferring criminal property. And that is all news now. Thank you so much for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Bye for now.